Fellow immigrants, this land we stand on, the so-called American Southwest, it was never empty, never quiet, never discovered. It was alive, it was organized, it was sacred, and it was stolen. Before the United States, and before Mexico, before Spain ever sent a ship across the ocean, this land already had nations, powerful ones. I'm talking about the original builders of this place, the ancestral Pueblanos. They didn't wander. They stayed, they built, and they thrived. These were architects. They carved cities into cliffs at Mesa Verde. They laid out roads and ceremonial centers in Chaco Canyon. They tracked the stars, planned their buildings with the sun, and built with stone. This wasn't just a village, it was a full civilization. Historians say it thrived from around 600 to 1300 CE. CE stands for Amenera. A CE is a non-religious way of referring to the same period that begins with the year one. That dating system was created in the 6th century by a monk who wanted to count years from Christ's birth instead of Roman rulers. This is real history. Then there were the Hohokam of the desert lowland. You want to know genius? These people built canals 15 miles long in hard Arizona soil by hand. They made the desert bloom. They lived from around 300 to 1450 CE. And the Mogollon up in the mountains, they farmed, they hunted, they listened to the land. They carved stories into caves. They walked with the seasons from about 150 CE to 1450 CE. These people weren't primitive. They weren't wandering tribes. They were nations, advanced, intelligent, rooted. This land didn't need to be discovered. It was already here. Uh, then came change, drought, movement, struggle. But these people didn't vanish. They adapted. The descendants of these ancient cultures are still here today. The Hopi, the Zuni, the Okoma, the Toos. Have you ever heard someone call them extinct? Lies. They're alive. They've been here. They never left. Then came the newcomers from the north, the Apache and the Navajo. They didn't come quietly, they came ready. They brought their own power, their own culture, their own rhythm. They moved in, they fought, they survived, and yes, they clashed with other civilizations, but they carved out their place. That's when shit hit the fan. The Europeans. In 1519, Hernan Cortes landed in Mexico. He tore down the Aztec Empire with guns, disease, and greed. He didn't come to trade, he came to conquer. By 1540s, Spanish soldiers were stomping into the Southwest, hunting myths. They were chasing fake stories, cities of gold. They didn't find any gold. They found people, people who prayed with fire, built with stone, and knew exactly who they were. And the Spanish hated that. So what did they do? They banned native ceremonies in their own land. They enslaved native people. They called the leaders witches and burned sacred spaces to the ground. They torched their religion. They raised native names. By 1680, the land said enough. The pueblo revolted. A man named Pope stood up. He united the pueblos. He said no more crosses, no more whips, no more lies. And the people rose up. They killed priests, burned the churches, uh, took back their town. For 12 years, from 1680 to 1692, the Spanish were gone. And when they came back, They never had the same control again. But colonizers don't stop. Spain faded. Mexico took over in 1821. In 1821, Mexico won its independence after 11 years fighting with Spain. Spain had ruled a vast territory called New Spain, which included not only Mexico, but also what is now California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Nevada, Utah, and parts of Colorado and Wyoming. When Mexico became independent, it inherited all that land. No invasion, no conquest. It was already theirs. Then came the United States. James K. Polk wanted the land, so he started a war to take it. He believed the U.S. had the right to expand no matter who lived there or who owned the land. That's what they called manifest destiny, a cover for greed and conquest. Polk didn't care about borders or treaties. He wanted Mexico's land, so he provoked a war to get it. That's the truth. In 1846, President James K. Polk sent in troops. In 1848, they signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And just like that, half of Mexico's territory was handed over. With ink on paper, this land was passed off like stolen goods. And who paid the price? The people. From 1850 to 1860, America was at war with itself, just not calling it war yet. Every new territory asks one question: slavery or freedom? The Civil War, the United States lasted from 1861 to 1865. During Abraham Lincoln's presidency, March 4th, 1861 to April 15, 1865, native nations across the West were being removed, confined, or attacked by U.S. military. In 1862, Lincoln approved the largest mass execution in U.S. history, the hanging of 38 Dakota men after the U.S. Dakota War in Minnesota. The Navajo were forced onto the Long Walk in 1864, marched over 300 miles in winter. Hundreds died. There's no record Lincoln personally commanding the Long Walk or targeting the Navajo, but he did not stop it, even as reports of suffering and failure reached federal officials. Apache land was seized, Pueblo land was chopped up and sold, Mission land was stolen in the name of God, and they had the nerve to call it progress. Then came the railroad. Steel tracks cut across the land like open wounds. Along came barbed wire, soldiers, cowboys, fences, bullets. They called it civilization. We call it invasion. But let me say this loudly: people don't disappear. The nation didn't die. They tried to break the spirit with boarding schools, beating, and Bible verses. They tried to kill the language. They cut children's hair and they call their culture savage. They tried to erase memory, but they couldn't because the people endured. The Hopi still dance. The Navajo still speak their language. The Sunni still remember their stories. The Apache still ride. And in 2025, an indigenous Mexican is sharing history on TikTok. This land remembers. These people remember. And now you remember. So when you walk through the desert, don't just see rocks and silence. See memory, see blood, see resistance. They tried to bury the truth under missions, under railroads, under textbooks, under lies. But the truth is still here, breathing, beating, alive. The truth is in your hands. Don't drop it. Now you know. Pass it on.